Agree with the moderator nor Reverend Robinson that we want some kind of agreement. We want agreement by which we can live or die. You choose. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. Should you try to pretend that I'm crazy because I want America to be saved? And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
I'm listening to music, man. I'm saying, wow, you know what? I might as well be in black and white too. You know, they got me all boomer down. And listen, before I get started, thanks BMU for allowing me to come up and use your network. I appreciate that. CBN, I know you're going to do your job in the back. And hello to everybody out there. I know we're just getting started. This might not be one of those big salacious kind of male against female kind of things, but on my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports, I had a couple of ladies talking about one lady rejoicing, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, about men being abandoned, and another woman talking about from the standpoint of reflecting on what that man's life might have been, or those men's lives might have been. And the first comment, though, I see in the chat, I guess is what, from Ed Unchained. He said, well, women, nobody cares about men, when they can't provide. And that's part of the problem. That is part of the problem. We men in general are very unappreciated for a lot of things. But I don't want to make it like that we're never appreciated for anything. But it takes some doing for people to actually appreciate the contributions men have made to society. I mean, the reason why we have laws in society in the first place is because men have made that happen. It's not like women weren't involved, but men are in the forefront of all the advancements that we all enjoy now, especially the laws that protect women. You know, so anyway, so it's going to be a little interesting. So what I want to have is whoever's going to come up when it's time to drop the link, we could talk about it, about men, and this doesn't have to be about men. It's about senior citizens as well. There's a lot of people being abandoned, but just like anything else, women tend to have a safety net that men don't have. Right? A lot of people look at men based on solely on what we could provide. Our wives, they say they love us, and we even believe them. They say they need us, and we believe them. But the truth of the matter is, their love for most men has conditions to it. Some women will stick it out no matter what. and some won't. And in these days and time, women are very bold about what they expect their men to do. And when they can no longer do it, they're bouncing and they don't have any regrets doing it. And so, where does that leave a man after they bounce, take a lot of his possessions, a lot of his money, those kind of things? So, but we're not going to get down that path. But what about the men? The men who've contributed to a family, to a society, fighting wars and all that kind of stuff, and find themselves uh, based on circumstance alone, old. Because when you get, I'm 65, and one thing when you hit that age, first of all, way past middle age, right? You start seeing friends, loved ones, and people start to pass away. Some people have more folks around them in their orbit than others, and some people are alone. But now, you stand when you get to my age, right, which is not completely so old that you don't know what's going on. You still have fun, but you start to look at your mortality and more. It starts to come at you with a little bit more focus. My wife is still here, and we're together. But those times when we hold hands, every so often it crosses my mind that how many more years do I really have to be holding this woman's hands? Right? It's not 40, not 50, it's not, so I sit down and say, I don't, nobody wants to, internalize the fact that one day you're going to pass away and you hope somebody's around your bed, telling you that they love you on your way out, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't go to sleep thinking about that. But imagine if you don't have anybody. So, before I show the first video, I want to just tell you a little bit. We got Thanksgiving coming up, right? We got Thanksgiving coming up. And my oldest daughter, she doesn't live with me anymore. She has a friend, a childhood friend. They're roommates. And so my daughters come over for Sunday dinners for, maybe twice a month and stuff. And we plan a Thanksgiving together. And so I love it when she comes back. My youngest daughter's here and she's, in her 20s. They're both working. Hopefully one day I can get them, husbands, but that's another story. So my daughter, my oldest sends me a text, hey, Dad, man, can my roommate come over? Can my roommate come over? And she's in her 30s, a couple of years older than my daughter. And, I immediately said yes. I said, especially if she's going to be alone on Thanksgiving. Right. And I was thinking about this particular stream that we're talking about tonight. And I'm saying, I couldn't imagine her because her family moved to Arizona. So she's up here, essentially by herself. I think she has some siblings, but they live far away. Um, so I said, it's just no way I can say, I can say no and think about her being at home with nobody to share Thanksgiving with. Right? I mean, this is not the same as somebody being abandoned, but being alone is being alone. So of course I immediately said yes. And of course, there was no way I was gonna say no. Right? There was no way I was gonna tell my daughter, no, your friend, your lifelong friend can't come over. There was no way I was gonna say that. But that's not why I said yes. That is not why I said yes. I said yes because I couldn't see myself leaving her home and tell her later on we'll send her a plate when we're finished eating, so she can enjoy it by herself. I mean, think about that. Now think about extrapolate that to you're 80, 85 years old, and you're in a nursing home, and there ain't nobody coming. Thanksgiving's coming. Your memory is good enough because you may have had kids, they may have passed away before you, or they may be estranged for one reason, or they may have just been moved on. They're in a different town, different part of the country, and they just couldn't get back for Thanksgiving. So they don't see you at that often at all. They send money, right? Or something like that. But you're alone. That's kind of, it sounds kind of dreadful to me. And yeah, yeah, and then there's extreme cases, right? Where, people just abandon you because you're no longer useful. I know the United States abandons a lot of people when they're no longer useful. So just we're going to talk a little bit about that. So the very first, I don't care. We don't have to hold up the link. Anybody wants to come up, CBN, you can let them up. But I want to show this first video, and maybe right after this first video, of two ladies, tale of two ladies. One sister rejoicing because she sees a lot of black men alone and nobody checking for them, and she's rejoicing. She's rejoicing. And then the second sister is reflecting on what those men could have meant when they were useful to somebody and how much of a shame it is that they're alone now. So, I don't know if anybody wants to come up now, but CBN, if you can play that very first one, the TikTok, and it's not that long, but we'll listen to the first lady, and right after that, the second lady is on the same TikTok. And this is on hers, by the way, so you can go over here. This is it.
This out.
And the reason why I be telling y'all not to trip about these men and whatnot is because I work in the healthcare field. I've been in the healthcare field since I was 18 years old. They're dying alone. They're dying alone. The women that's in these places, their daughters are coming to see them every 2 weeks. I am the one who is right there when some of these men are taking their last breath. Guess what? Nobody showed up for them. Not their kids, not their wives, not their grandkids. Nobody came for them because why? They were not good men while they were alive. They're gonna continue dying alone. That's why I tell y'all don't trip. I'm physically seeing it on a daily basis, watching them all go by themselves. That's why I don't be worried about these men talking because baby, I watch y'all every day. Go by yourselves with nobody on your side.
I'm seeing these types of videos more and more on social media of women pretty much gloating about men dying alone in nursing homes. And then we see the comments. He got what he deserved. It's karma. This is what happens to bad men. Really? Because a man is alone in a nursing home? Here's the thing. I already could have assumed that this would be happening, but not for the reasons you think. A man's contributions are rarely, if ever, appreciated at any age. So what would lead one to believe that an old man wouldn't be tossed aside like a broken ATM? But he was worthwhile when he was in his prime, right? Breaking his back, working his fingers to the bone for his family, or serving his country. Because a lot of guys in nursing homes are veterans that have been cast aside. So now that they're old, they no longer serve any value to the women in their lives. You just throw them in a nursing home and don't come see them anymore. You know what? I'm not surprised because this happens to men in their youth. But what I am surprised by are the predominantly women who come onto social media apps to basically gloat that men are dying alone, like it's some kind of gotcha moment. Many women don't care about males in their youth, middle age, in their old age. They barely treat young men right who are providing. What do you think is going to happen when he's old and can no longer provide for his family and can no longer provide to females? But I bet you if he was still raking in the dough, you might be going to see him, bringing him flowers, shaving his beard, getting his hair done. I don't see any compassion from anyone that's making these types of videos. And it's pretty much aligned with what we're already seeing out here on a regular basis. Males are so devalued in our modern world. And as the saying goes, only women, children, and pets are loved unconditionally.
See, I think, and before I pass judgment, I mean, I think everybody can see where they think about where you fall. The very first woman uh, is part of the, I guess, modern cabal of women who hate men, black men. And you could tell that she's a swirler, right? Because she kind of flashed a little kid. And I don't know why she feels that way, but uh, does she have any brothers? Does she have any fathers? Now, that sound like the ladies, right? Who hurt you? Do you got your dad abandoned you? You don't have no brothers you love. You don't have, and then she automatically don't know the backstory of these men. Said that they're bad men. How does she know that? Instead of reflecting on how sad it is that these guys have to be alone. And the second sister, you can go to her TikTok channel. She's got a lot of good videos. I have a few. And this one is part of my, Let the Women Tell It series. I just dropped another one today on marriage, politics, and sports about a woman 9 years ago talking about, how marriage is not a good deal for men. And like I said, I let the women tell it now because I'm tired of arguing with ladies over shit, man. Because women can tell it a little bit better than we can. But anyway, back to this topic. If anybody wants to come up and kind of kick it where they might sit, we could talk about it because I reflect on my elderly grandfathers, right? My paternal grandfather passed away when I was 25, 26 years old. And of course, he's part of the greatest generation. And he came from Barbados, never to go back. And he made his way in the United States. Actually, my grandmother already had a kid when he married her. They had 8 more. Uh, when my mom died, I moved in with them. So I was living in a house with my cousins and my paternal grandfather, and my father's sister was my guardian. And I went to visit my grandfather in the hospital. Not with a bunch of family, just me. I went to visit him, and they had him tied down to the bed because he was in his last days. And he looked at me, and he recognized me, right? Because he was out of it kind of. He recognized me. He says, take these. They had him tied down, and I looked at him. I said, man, this guy spent his whole life as a free man through all the shit that he had to go through. Now he's in this hospital bed and they have him tied down. And when a nurse came in, I said, well, why you got my grandfather tied down like that? She said, yeah, and she did call me Mr. Payne for some reason. She says he keeps pulling out all his tubes. We don't have no way of, keeping those tubes in him. And it was a sad sight, right, for me, but I was glad I went to visit him. So I spent a couple of hours there just sitting down there, just talking to the air because he wasn't really hearing me. And then he passed away maybe a week or so later. And and so all I could think about is all the conversations we had when I was in his house, and the fact that this guy was not only a good man, he was a great one, as far as I was concerned, right? And because on the paternal side of my family, I keep the family tree. So from him, just from him and my paternal grandmother, there's like 280 people in 123 years out of that union. 280. And guess what? We all kind of still connected, big time, so so when I hear somebody say, "Hey, listen, God, no, man, that's just horrible." So my maternal grandfather, he, I actually, I don't know, man, maybe I'm the Grim Reaper. I actually seen him in the hospital in the last days as well, because he was in Jersey City. I went to see him because he had a stroke, and he was up there too, and he was drinking Johnny Walker Black, all the way up to his last days. He was a veteran. Actually, he was a Tuskegee Airman. He didn't go to war because he was a signalman, but he didn't go to war because the war had just ended. But he had all the training, right? And he became a postmaster. I don't think he quite took over postmaster general, but he was close. And he's a grandfather on my mother's side who left me an inheritance. Not only did he leave all his children an inheritance, he left me one too. And I seen him in his last days. Me and his daughter, we went to visit him, my aunt. And he was in bad shape. And he died the last day of 1999. He didn't quite make it to the new year. He was also, as far as I'm concerned, a great man. And I took great pride in introducing my daughters to him while he was still alive. Because a lot of people don't get a chance to see their great grandparents, you know? And you know, so to hear any woman or anybody for that matter disparage men when they get to that age, it's shameful, shocking. It hurts. It hurts. And these are two black men on both sides of my family, you know, and it don't even get me into the boomer shit, right? You know, and how bad, you know, the past generations were and all that kind of shit, man. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Not tonight. Um, so anyway, so that's, you know, my recollection, right? All my uncles that passed away, all of them who were married to my aunts on either my father's side or my mother's side, they all died while they were in wedlock. It was actually to death do they part. There were no divorces. And nobody gonna tell me the women stayed in those marriages because they were destitute. All my aunts on my father's side worked for the telephone company. Each one of them made enough money to live on their own. They chose to stay with their husbands. They chose to stay with their husbands. One of my aunts had a master's degree. There's not too many black women out of the silent generation, you know, have master's degrees. She retired when she was 50, and she's still alive, and we check on her now and then. She's up there in age now, but you know, I still check on her from time to time. So, and she's not going to be alone. You know, my sister checks on her. Everybody always checks on her. But men, you know, kind of different story, right? You know, men don't have that kind of safety net. So, so let me tell you. Okay, so I know I'm rattling off the jibs. I don't know if anybody came up yet. So I see people in the chat. You know, yeah, somebody like we building over here about the person in karma and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, but I think she was. Yeah, you're right about that. But the fact is, she was just throwing all men under that net. She didn't know any of the backstory of these guys. Uh, not BMU, CBN. Can you throw up the second one? Since I'm waiting, I'm just rattling off the jibs. Uh, if there was anybody want a question of me, we could do that. But the second one about the elderly guy calling 911. If you could put that one up, that'll be cool. This one's a short one, though, folks. Fair use, right?
An elderly man picked up the phone last week and placed a heartbreaking call to 911. Turns out it was a wake-up call about a growing problem that has gone unnoticed. Here's Dr. John LaPook.
Clarence Blackman is an 81-year-old Army veteran battling prostate cancer. But cancer wasn't the reason he called 911.
What I need is someone to get to the grocery store and bring me some food because I need to eat something.
I thought, well, you know, I got to have an instant response. And I figured I know that 911 responds very quickly.
A widower since 2011, Blackman came home from the hospital last week to an empty fridge and had no one to help him. In a recent report, Dr. Maria Carney of North Shore LIJ Health System says a quarter of Americans over 65 are at risk of becoming so-called elder orphans.
It's hard to age even when you have a good support system. So you can only imagine if you don't have anybody with you to help you.
About a third of Americans aged 45 to 63 are single, a 50% increase since 1980. The report says elder orphans not only combat loneliness and depression, they lack assistance for their basic needs. 911 dispatcher Marilyn Hinson was so struck by Blackman's call, she took a detailed list of his food requests and personally delivered them.
I've been hungry. A lot of people can't say that, but I have. You know, and I cannot stand to see anybody go hungry.
Blackman was then inundated with donations and offers to help.
One lady sent me 6 cans of Spam. I thought, well, God, I'm in heaven now. You know, I got 6 cans of Spam.
Dr. Carney had a great idea. Develop an app where you put in a zip code and are told about the local resources available.
What a wonderful thing that dispatcher did. Doc, thanks very much.
That time you saved.
You are muted.
And you're not.
You're muted.
You know what? Yeah, I'm good now. It's funny that I was muted, and I dropped some bars that were so phenomenal while I was muted. I could never repeat them. I'm on the job. Anyway, listen. One of the reasons why I showed that guy, and this is not a big deal, is because I wanted to let all of black folks out there know that white folks and black folks have some of the same issues. And a lot of times when we're in our little I guess fishbowl or whatever they call echo chambers. Sometimes we forget that we're just part of a bigger diaspora. It doesn't matter that we're black, you know. And this guy was a veteran, and then I can't imagine. There's probably so many veterans out there living lives of quiet desperation. People being found in their houses, passed away for weeks or whatever because nobody's checking on them. And I mean, even like I said, I talked about myself a little bit. And one of the things I did wrong, and it was that when I was working younger, they used to have this thing used to come out and say long-term health, long-term care, right? The damn thing was expensive when I was 35 years old. But they had these long-term care plans that they say, listen, put some money in this thing. So if you have to have long-term care, other than just a hospital stay, at least it can be subsidized. So that's something for all you younger folks to look into before it becomes cost prohibitive. Because as you know, the older you get, the tougher it is. But anyway, and if anybody wants to come up and chat with me on some of their own experiences, please do. I don't have any answers other than if we assume that you're a good person, and even if we assume that you're not, right? I mean, nobody deserves that fate. But let's just say you were a very productive man. You had some children. You had a wife. His wife, the last guy's wife, died. Like 12 years ago. They didn't say whether he had children or not. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Well, because nobody was checking on him, right? There's a lot of folks who are married that don't have kids. So he still had enough brain faculty to use the 911 to see if he can get help, and he did. Um, like I was saying, I didn't think this was going to be, something that we could have a big, deep discussion on. But I think some of you out there might have a story to tell. Or if you have loved ones that you haven't talked to in a long time, that's your relatives, friends, they're on hard times, you might want to give them a call. You might want to tell them, or if they have estranged children that you know of, because I can't think of anything worse than knowing that nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what you're doing, and nobody cares what happens to you. Uh, so it's just sad, right? Uh, okay, trade respect. Boom, boom. And listen, so I mean, and then there's one more video that I want to show too, and then we can get all the videos out of the way. And this is about, and here's the thing, before I show that one, it's a little different theme. It's about kids who cut their parents off for whatever reason. And it's a young lady, she looks like a millennial that's talking about it. I think she's a PhD or whatever. So she's doing her whatever her research is, such as it is, talking about that some parents need to be cut off. And the reason why that's still relevant is because she doesn't get into what cut your parents off means, right? Because if you're not talking to them while they're alive, or while they're still viable, or they're still able to be pains in your ass, or meddle in your relationships, or do things that of that nature, when they can no longer do that, do you automatically turn the switch back on and go visit them? Do you make sure that they're taken care of? Do you make sure that their finances are in order, or where they end up? Or when you cut them off, you cut them off emotionally as well? Or do you get them out of your mind? She doesn't talk about that. Nobody asked her about it. But it was something that came to mind because what does it really mean to cut your parents off? And not to say that a lot of parents actually deserve it, right? I think Kiki Palmer would have been served real well if she cut a hyena mother off. But you know, the apple doesn't fall far from that particular tree. um, so without further ado, let's you know, Trey Ferg, if you want to come up and say, you know, you're a little bit closer to me. If you have something to say, come on up, and we'll drop the link out in the chat, or anybody else. CBN, you could play the last one too. And start. Oh, by the way, if you could start from the like 50-second mark. We don't need to see the beginning, but the 50-second mark. If you could start there on the last video, that would be great. 50-second mark.
Growing divide after those adult kids leave the nest. More of them are making the tough choice to actually cut their parents off, no longer communicate or deal with them, period. Dr. Jasmine Boone is here to talk about this new trend of adult children cutting ties with their parents. I think the number, Dr. Boone, is about more than 60 million adult children who've cut ties with their parents. Why?
You know, it's boundaries, right? You know, we've always been taught, especially depending on the culture, you know, you don't get to choose your family, which the implication is you're stuck with your family.
CBN, can you pause it just for a second?
I think as people are in therapy and beginning to heal and learn more about what's appropriate and what's healthy for them, they're saying, no, I don't have to deal with abusive behavior, toxic behavior. They're saying, I realize I don't have to deal with this. I'm an adult. Maybe I even have my own family now. And so they're setting really, really loud boundaries. It's actually pretty healthy.
And the days of saying, like we've heard in the past, well, it's your mom, it's your dad. You know, you just have to love them the best way you can and meet them where they are. Some people are saying, hell no, I'm moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to say that now, right? So it used to be very taboo. No, that's your family. Those are your parents. You get to respect them. And you know, the term narcissist is thrown around so often now. We usually relate it to like romantic situations. People don't even realize your mom can be narcissistic. Your father can be on the narcissistic spectrum. What do you do in that case, right? So if a family is crossing your boundaries, not respecting your boundaries, you do get to say, hell no, I'm out. Absolutely.
And what about those family members that are constantly trying to bring you back into the fold with your mother or your father? How do you deal with them?
Hey, they get boundaries too. Everybody gets boundaries. So long story short, a boundary is just what's okay with you and what's not okay with you. If you are telling them, hey, this is the decision I've made, that's it, and they're not respecting it, you know, you can talk to them more, or you can set harsher boundaries with them, or even non-negotiables. And so it's very, very difficult to tell family, I don't roll like this anymore. And so you might have to show them better than you can tell them sometimes.
An odd question is love automatic in a family? Or do you have to attain that as well? Because I've met some people who said, you know, it may be my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, but I just don't have those feelings towards them.
It's very possible. You know, love is not always automatic. Love is so many things. And one of those things is an emotion, right? And one of those things, it's a verb. I have to show you love. But let's say, for instance, you know, someone has an abusive father, a history of sexual abuse. It is very possible that I don't choose to love that person anymore. Even if you're my father, even if you're my mother, if you've abused me and caused me trauma and harm, I can choose to step away, and maybe I don't even have those feelings of love for you anymore. I don't believe it's always automatic.
And adult children have cut ties more with their fathers than their mothers. And is that likely because it was some type of maybe physical and or sexual abuse, or the reasons could vary?
Yeah, I think the reasons could vary. And, you know, I'd honestly have to do research into the reasons why studies show that more often, but it doesn't necessarily have to be any type of abuse. It can be a lack of support. It can be they're overly critical. Maybe the father was inconsistent in and out of the life, you know, that type of thing. Mothers tend to stereotypically be more nurturing and more loyal. So we have that societal influence to kind of stay loyal to mom, but also mothers play more of a nurturing role typically in our lives. So we don't see as much boundary setting and removing ourselves from our mom's life.
All right, Dr. Jasmine Boone, always good to talk to you. Fascinating.
I think that's
Take
it.
your time on the factor tonight.
That's it. Yeah, man. So I'm back. She said a lot of things there. I mean, the first thing is that I don't necessarily disagree with her. You got to set boundaries, but you could tell she's young, so I don't think she's definitely at that old as a millennial, right? So if she's indicative of a lot of ways millennials think, there's a lot of people going to get kicked to the curb. I think she started out saying 60 million elderly people are being estranged from their kids for whatever reason, right? So if they're millennials and their parents are already in their 60s and they're cutting them off, right? They're cutting them off from a support system, right? Because a lot of people in other cultures, their kids are their support system in old age. So there's going to be a plethora of people, alone, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like. Do you cut your parents off for 5, 10, 15 years? And then all of a sudden when they in dire straits, you show up, or you just forget about them and move on. That's going to be interesting. So, I mean, there'll probably be a mix of people doing that. But if there's already a lot of elderly people being abandoned, she just told us that get ready. Get ready. We're going to add more to that, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying we should feel sorry for them. The point about more men being discarded than women, I don't think anybody should be surprised about that stat. Because even when men are providing, that provision is expected, right? And sometimes it's appreciated. Okay, you get a tie on Father's Day, maybe a new pair of socks, right? Who knows? You know, yeah, heaven forbid you ask for your honey to, make you a sandwich or, you know, give you the big piece of chicken. But I'm joking. I think there might be still a few women who understand that you do at least just that. But this is bigger than gender war though. Because it's talking about, just loved ones leaving other loved ones to fend for themselves when they're the most vulnerable. Elderly folks get taken advantage of, right? Technology, whatever money they might have, shysters come along and say, hey, this person don't have nobody protecting them. So they get duped out of, charities and monies and houses and property. They sign stuff they don't completely, understand because nobody's giving them the legal, advice to do it. So I think it's incumbent upon everybody. If you have elderly people in your orbit, you check on them or or talk to the person who should be checking on them. That kind of stuff. I mean, that's probably the least we could do. I'm not saying make everybody's issue your issue, but it's kind of distressing because it's going to happen more and more. Uh, uh, and I don't think any of us are going to be immune from that, right? Because we all know elderly people, and heaven forbid you become one of them. Sometimes we don't have the foresight to know how circumstances might put us and land us in those situations. Because I don't think anybody no, I shouldn't say anybody. I don't think most people choose to be in a situation where nobody cares for what they're doing or checking on them for months, years, or at all. I don't think anybody chooses that, right? So I know the first woman was thinking about how many men tell unmarried women they're going to die alone and all that. Yeah, you know what? Maybe people should check that, right? Because that's their business. But still, I talk to my daughters about growing old without having a man covering them or having somebody close to them. I mean, it's something to think about. And if something people don't reflect, man or woman, don't reflect on that when they're in their 20s. They don't think about it. So, but when you get my age, you can say, man, you know what? That's not why I got married, but it's damn sure good to have somebody around, right? Anyway, that's all I mean, I don't have a lot. This wasn't going to be long in my mind. So it was one of the videos I gave BMU or for my channel. And yeah, listen, if y'all want to do me a favor, you can go to my channel, check out videos. There's something there for everybody. Different things, because my thumbnails are very descriptive on what I'm gonna talk about. I generally have themes on that one. And this is one of them. I saw that lady on TikTok, and and I put her link on my video on my channel, and she has some very good TikToks. Anyway, I have several TikToks from her in my Let the Women Tell It series. And I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm up to 13, by the way. I like the way women tell other women what they should be doing. I think it's more effective that way. What's going on, Trey? You're on mute, brother. Hello, Trey. You hear me? Okay. I got you. I got you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hear a little echo in the back there.
Oh, you do? Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a few things. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. Oh no, I still hear
funny.
the echo. I still hear it back there. I don't know if you have YouTube or something in the back or
No, it's not coming from me.
Okay, Groomer just came on. What's going on, Groomer?
Mine is off.
No, you sound good now. I hear you. I hear
okay.
you.
You know,
What you got,
that
man? While you're up here, man? Thanks for joining, man. What you think on the topic? What you got on the top?
Well, bro, first of all, thank you, man, for having these type of topics right now in this, in this day and age that, it's really needed to understand the plight of men as they get older. I was talking to I met this older veteran Friday. We both had appointments together, and I just met him, and we just started talking. He was there with his wife, and he was talking to me today, like, about marriage. Like, man, I'm glad I chose this woman that I got, and I'm glad that after 35, 40 years, we're still together. He said, I wasn't thinking about being together this long. He said, I just felt like at that time, this was the woman that I was going to marry, and this was the woman that was going to stick by my side. And when I saw him interacting, they was just going back and forth. It was like old young people. They was carrying on, and she was, and just it was a good thing to see two older people getting along in that capacity. And I think about myself, as I get older, and me and my wife get older. Me being blessed enough to retire last year, and my wife, she's looking at like 4 or 5 years. Just what we talk about is just what she wants to do. And we do have those discussions about what are we going to do when one of us goes first. How we planned out a lot of things that we put in place for our children, and the expectation that we still have for them and possibly grandchildren. So we sort of like just put things down the line. And the thing that she brought to my attention, because I wasn't thinking about it, she was like, when we go, we're gonna make sure we go when they lay us to rest, we're gonna be side by side. I'm like, side by side. I'm like, I never thought about, a woman wants to be side by side with me. It just blew my mind. So I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be side by side regardless. Now I'm all for it. I'm like, ain't no question, that's the way it's set up. But I thought about, the video, and it goes to show, because I work for a veterans organization, and what we did, we house veterans who are homeless, who may have not had the resources to live on their own. And, if you see in a lot of these states now, they're building apartment complexes for veterans who have been homeless or whatever. And one thing I learned about a veteran who's been used to being in charge, who's been used to, just doing things their own way is that they have a lot of pride. And a lot of times they'll go through a lot of those health issues by themselves. They won't even let family know until it's almost the end. You know, they'll push away from relationships they may have had with their children. And a lot of times the family wasn't aware of what was going on with them until they were passed away. And, you know, you're going to see it more now, especially moving forward. And I think that's where, you know, women have to be very careful because everything that they're putting out there now in this YouTube space will be available to their children in 25, 30 years. And they're going to see the ridiculous behavior, some of the lies that mothers may have held back and not told the children about the father of them and whatever. So I think, you know, those roles will be reversing soon. Well, I don't know how soon, but, you know, you have a lot of women living out here in storage units now, you know, so
I heard about that.
so that's isolating them also. And, you know, most men, you know, instead of really being a burden, I think most guys just choose to go off into their own and understand that, you know, I came in this world by myself. I'm going to leave by myself. And I don't think they really want to put that burden on their children. And a lot of times what I've seen is the children, especially the younger adults, they so quick to get you out of that house so they can sell it off and split that money up.
That's
They
true.
trying to get, they don't even want to, even if you were a person that had the resources as an older person or senior citizen, male or female, and you could probably support the family dynamic and helping them, you know, move forward and maintaining their household. They don't want that responsibility. They don't want to have to take it to the doctor's appointments. They don't want none of that. And as soon as you pass, they fighting over your house. They fighting over the pictures and everything that, you know what I'm saying, you had all the memorabilia you had of them in one place, they fighting over.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's sad that, you know, that it's coming. It's sad that it's here. It's sad that it's here because on one hand, they ain't building relationships, they ain't building families. On the other hand, they're not even caring about those that paved the way before them. The
Well, let me
one that
ask you a question
sacrificed.
while you're
Yes, sir.
going on. Let me ask you a question. On the last lady, she probably most likely a millennial, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, and I, you know, like I said, I don't disagree with where she's coming from, but I don't think it's happenstance that a millennial will come up with a report like that.
No,
You know what I'm
not at all.
saying? So uh and you know, so some elements she is right. But what's the
Mhm.
tolerance level? The first time your parents piss you off and you don't need to hear, or they continue. You know what I'm saying? She didn't give you the distinction of
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
here's the boundary. And so
yeah,
if your parent cross, first of all, the parent is going to challenge your boundary. They're going to
yeah,
challenge your boundary, right? Because they got
yes,
to get used to the fact that you have a boundary in the first place. So
yes,
when do you cut them off?
yes,
The first time or the 10th time? Or what
yes.
kind of, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say.
No, I totally agree because I listen to a lot of, I guess, like you said, millennials, because I don't understand that all that generation thing.
Yeah.
But a
But
lot
before
of them are still,
go ahead and answer this, and I'll let
yeah,
Groovy get
yeah,
on.
a lot
Go
of
ahead.
them are still complaining about stuff that happened to them when they was in the 11th and 12th grade,
I know.
and they 35 and 40. My mama did this in the 11th. I mean, come on now. But you still let her babysit your children when you trying to take trips and go out and all that. You ain't have no problem there. But when the fact that they finally say, you know what, I'm too old to be watching your children, now you got boundaries. Now you got problems with them. So it just amazes me.
I'm looking at
What's up?
Sugar Bum. Shit, my mom and dad can't control me. I'm grown. You know, I mean, but it's not really about control. It's how much you can really tolerate. Hey, Groovy, what you got?
I got a couple things actually. I have a
What's
whole
up,
list
bro?
here.
Go
So
ahead.
a lot of it I agree with you guys 100%. It hits home for me very much. So I know some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't know this. I take care of my mom. My mom is fighting third stage colon cancer. So it hits me home. Because when I saw growing up people kicking their parents on the side or telling their parents, fuck you, Yeah, no. One time I spoke back to my mom and my jaw got cracked by my instructor, karate instructor. I would never talk back to my mother or my father. My parents have a really bad relationship growing up, so they're not together anymore. So I had to literally pick who I'm going to take care of the most right now. The person who has cancer, who the person who doesn't. I think it was easy pick there. I'm not choosing over them. I had to, unfortunately, because if I put both of them together, it's like World War II / Vietnam Part 2. My mom says, "I will kill your dad with a fucking rubber spoon." I'm like, okay, so he can come home, or can he? Like, nope. So it hits home for me. Maybe it's a culture thing. I grown up in Greece, seeing everybody that I know who took care of their parents in Greece. My grandparents. It doesn't matter who is elderly. You show respect. You do what you need to. Now, what is respect anymore for the elderly? You're on mute again, bud.
No, that's true. I mean, yeah. I mean, what is respect? I mean, it's going to be different from everybody. I mean, the
I
way
agree.
it is, I think for Americans, almost everything comes down to tolerance levels. It's no the cultural things that bound us years ago, they're all gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're absolutely all gone. And it permeates almost everything we do. So there's tolerance levels. Like I said before.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you my mom is the easiest person to deal with. She's not. If I told her, listen, the sky is blue, and she says it's green, she's gonna argue to you. She's blue to the face, saying no, it's blue. I'll give you a better example. Her doctor says, listen, you got to cut back on your smoking, your COPD, your oxygen goes like,
oh, that's right. She's still smoking.
She vapes now. Wait to hear this. She says, my lungs has nothing to do with my oxygen level. Excuse me. Yep, I don't need my lungs has nothing to do with my oxygen level, something else. I'm like, you do understand those two work together, right? It's just like I love her death, but some days she drives me crazy. I'm like, one of these days, I swear to God, I'm gonna put her on here, dude, and let her go at you guys and you see what I'm dealing with. She's a tough cookie. She is. She's the most toughest woman I ever met. She will not give up. Like, I know she's gonna beat this. Not if she's going to. She's going to. I know my mother very well. But the other thing I want to touch base also on is a couple of more things, actually, is the military thing. I have a weak spot when it comes to the military. I had family in the military. My godfather served, or both my uncles served. That's all obviously in Greece. Two of my best friends served. One unfortunately passed in the service. The other one got shot 13 times, and he survived. So that hits home for me when I hear vets on the street. There are jobs out there for them. Like, I remember the argument a couple of years back is, let's put vets in school so they can protect them. I'm like, no, we should put guns in school. Yeah. Like, fuck you. I'm like, literally, you should have, at least they have a job to protect. They don't have to be armed. They can be in there just protecting, having a presence there. Because a guy who has a gun, who goes a little cuckoo in the head, he's not going to go near that school. He's going to stop. And the third one that you hit, this one hits home full. I know this is going to sound really wrong when I'm going to say, I'm going to apologize right now. It doesn't matter if you're black, Spanish, green, orange. You take a knife, cut your arm, blood comes out of it. We're all from the same God, end of the day.
I agree with that. Hey, I see Trey Ferg. You talking to Sugar Bob there, man. She's tripping me out. She is tripping me out, man, with the respect thing,
You're on mute, dude. You're on mute.
I got two things. My aunt's 77. Only thing she has a little hearing loss, little high blood pressure. She rolls one up every day. Every day. Lives on her own, pays her own bills. I'm gonna bring her over for Thanksgiving. She's still popping, what is that? Miller Lights, like it ain't nothing. And like Brother Grubman in Reviews, Mom, she'll cut you out in the drop of a hat.
You have no idea.
And my father just turned 80 this year. 4 heart attacks, 2 strokes, 1 batch of cancer, and a heart stent. All within the last 10 years. He's been retired since 2005. All of this happened since then.
Wow.
refuse to really get the help that he needs, but he'll get it if it comes to
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a problem that men have, right? I
it.
mean,
Yes.
in general, a lot of men don't. I mean, you know, I had to get over that. I mean, because you do a couple of stints in the hospital, you just kind of vow that you don't ever want to go back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's tough, man. I know the last time I've been in there, man, you know, I had a little prostate, kind of prostate. It might have just been kidney stone. But I didn't have so many women playing with my Johnson, man, in a long time than when I was in that goddamn hospital. I mean, changing this and that's holy shit, man. First of all your shame is gone, right? It's gone. There's no kind of modesty in there, right? All the way up to the ass out perp walk with those gowns on. You know, that's what I call it. So you got to walk the hall and take you from one room or another. The damn gowns are just barely your ass. I said, you really don't have a hospital stay unless you do the ass out perp walk. You know, because that shit's gonna happen at one point. You know, so I just say, man, so it behooves people. If you in good shape, stay that way. If you in decent shape, fight like hell and stay that way. I tell you, don't get out of shape. And if you definitely get into a habit of all kinds of stuff, because I'm losing a whole bunch of weight, man. And I'm kicking myself that I ever let it go that bad. I blame that on my wife.
Yeah, you should. That's
I
marriage weight.
blame it on my wife.
Marriage weight is a little different than stress in
Yeah.
the streets weight. It's a little different. You eating 2 or 3 times a day, every day of the week. You got that good loving, and it's a lot
Well,
easier.
you know what? It's funny, Trey.
I
I
got
blame
better
it.
for you one. You want to call weight? Live with a Greek parent.
Okay.
I let her cook because it makes her happy. I let her do things, and keep her active, right? So she brings, the big bowls that you serve pasta in.
Yeah.
That is one serving for one person. She thinks. I'm looking at her like, I'm like, I'm not gonna eat that. Like she goes, oh yes, you are. And she's to this day, she grabs her sandals. She goes, you sure you're not gonna eat it? I'm like,
Yeah,
I pay you
I'll
bills
do
now,
my
woman.
best. I'll do my best. But anyway, the Thanksgiving's coming up too. So all my, you know what? I'm not even going to try. All my discipline I just built up over the last 3 or 4 months is out the window. I'm not even thinking about it.
Thanksgiving is a freebie day.
There's a freebie day, because
freebie week.
I'm cooking. I'm cooking anyhow. But I'm looking forward to having some family over. I told a story about my daughter's best friend is going to be with us. Because like I said, I really just kind of thought about what we're talking about. It was no way I was going to let her be alone if she didn't have nowhere else to go. Come on, hang out. We're going to have more than, we're not even going to put a dent in the food we're going to have. We end up giving out plates anyway. So.
See, Payne, I'll be honest with you, that scares me. I'll be straight up. That scares the living shit out of me because I don't have kids. I'm 38. Trying to find a decent woman my age is kind of hard. I'm gonna be honest with you because everybody is already settled with kids and have their own family started, or B, they're gold diggers or some kind of fucked up with them. So I was literally looking at this a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was, and I was like, "Damn, it scares the shit out of me." Because what happens? I'm like in the hospital, years later, and nobody's there to even pick me up from the hospital. I have nobody up here. I'm by myself in PA. My mother's the only family I have. Me and my cousins, we haven't spoken over a year now because their heads are up their own asses, and I'm not dealing with it.
You got a lot of family in the States. They're all over in Greece. So you got.
Believe it or not, as a Greek person, I have a very small family. My father's in New York. I'm in PA. I have family in New Jersey, but we don't speak, and that's it. I have a few cousins in Greece, but again, it's been rough boats there too.
Well, you know what, man? One of the things, I get a lot of shit for this, right? I do. But, there are still some, decent women out there. I just
But
think
it's hard to find them.
No, well, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter whether it's hard to find them. If you want one, you keep looking for them until you find them. And so I told people that it's different now, blah, blah. I said, well, if you spend enough time in these YouTube spaces, you'll think that there's no women whatsoever anywhere, right? Because all the red pill rage guys and all that shit that's going on, it's just not true because people are getting married all the time, and they're not all bad marriages. Some young people are finding and if you're 38, you got to be fishing in the pool of maybe 27 to 30.
Yeah, if
Because
technically, I'll be 30. If in a week and a half, my birthday's coming up, so we're gonna avoid talking about that a little bit. You know how that is, right?
No, but I mean, like I said, okay, we don't have to get into that. But the point is, I just think that some guys get so wrapped up into how bad it is out there that they couldn't see. And that's a video I put on last week about the man.
I'll be very honest with you, Payne. I'm talking to a woman right now, and she seems great right now. We're good right now, but I don't have a magic ball saying, "Ooh, she's the one."
Yeah, see, what I'm trying to say is, why is guys waiting for other shoe to drop?
Yeah,
because everything's a risk assessment. Right. Mm-hmm. So and this is just a different topic. We can get back on the other topic. When you look for anybody or a friend, male, female, whatever it is, you check them for whatever face value it is, and you do a risk assessment that, this person could turn on me, but you protect your thing. But that's what life is. You're never going to get all the answers, but your powers of observation have to be kind of clear-headed and keen, right? Because what they tell you is one thing, but what they show you is another. And if those things, the more those things match, the more comfortable you should get, because people can't really hide who they are for long. Yeah,
absolutely, you're right, 100% right. Excuse me. Because one person can be like that for now when you first meet them, but over time, when you start living, the real color comes out.
She could be feeling the exact same way about you.
You're 100% right.
So what I'm saying, so you're gonna roll the dice either way. It's just that you have to continue to have these conversations throughout the process about what are your expectations, what is she expecting from you. Sometimes,
and we actually, believe it or not, me and her right now, the woman I'm talking to, we have an open communication. We have these talks on a daily basis because we don't want to waste each other's time. We want to see if we're on the same page.
Well,
so far, we've been on the same page, but like she even said, I don't know if this is going to turn serious. I don't know anything. I'm taking it day by day like I am. So
just take this situation and extrapolate it to the conversation that we're having, because you already mentioned the fact that you're getting a little older. And
thanks for reminding me.
You might, you ain't that old, man. Listen, at my age, 30 years old.
He's getting older. No, he's gonna get older. He's gonna get older. He's gonna get older. If I'm getting older, he's getting older. Yeah, he's gonna get it.
So the point what I'm trying to say is, you're already thinking about how your life might be 25, 30 years from now. Right? But the only person who can make that different, China, is you.
And I'm making changes in that. Be honest with you. I realized a couple of things about me I'm not happy about, like my weight. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a guy in love with. But again, I had to put myself in the back burner for a little bit and focus on my mother's health. At the moment, that was important. But I am working on the factors to make things change, going to the gym more, eating the right things and stuff like that. So I am making changes what I need to make change. Like it's going on this way to be 6 weeks nicotine free. So that's a big improvement for me, because I'll be honest with you, I could not go without my vape at all. But now, don't even care about it anymore, to be honest with
you. What's it? Singapore, what? Married men are the worst one? Worst one? Yeah, that's so funny, man. You're talking back and forth with over there, Trey.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't take these things to heart.
No, that's just funny. That's why I'm laughing. It's cool. That's why I read it.
I like it though. I wish you would come up and have a conversation.
Yeah.
I like it.
Get up here. Set us straight, Sugar Bum. Yeah. Come on up here, man. Lady, let us know what's going on.
And grooming, I'll say this. And it's not for everybody. I speak for the guys who are looking to be in that process of finding a wife. Brother Payne said it. You could probably have to look 3 to 5 years for what you're looking for. But I guarantee this. In between that time, most men, they just smashing anyway. Most men are just out here playing the game. They playing the game, whether they get with black women, white women, Hispanic women, whatever race, they're playing the game.
I agree 100% because I see it all the time. I see it with guys I know, and like they're talking about being in a serious relationship, but you're not getting time to get to know them. Not even after the first date, you're already have her legs wrapped around you. Like that's not how you get to know somebody. You pause that. You put that as a back burner, and you like ask the right questions. Do you want kids? Do you want to travel when you retire? Stuff like that. And you know where I'm going with this. And have conversation. Sit down and literally talk with the person. Have a conversation. You know, not like, okay, where's the? Let me get a condom. Let's go inside already. You're like, okay, like get a prostitute then. That's what you want.
I hear you. Okay, Rick, how you doing, man? Welcome up.
Yo, what's going on? Good afternoon. Well, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. What you got on the topic, man? What you got on the topic? Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just kind of listening, sitting back. I heard my man saying earlier talking about how getting up for an age, and you can't really find any women around that 30 years.
Wait, hold on. CBN, what you say?
No, I was trying to say hello to Rick Jude. I haven't seen him in a while. It's been a long time since he's been here.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time. It's been a good minute.
Okay, you popped up. Go ahead. Continue, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you good. But no, I was just saying how you saying that you can't really find too many women around this age. Yeah, and it is exceedingly difficult, especially. I mean, I'm be honest, I wouldn't even look for a woman around my age. I just turned 40, so I wish I would find somebody my age. Like, nah, I'm straight. Been ran through.
You got Ebony K. Williams. Now you could take a shot at her.
Man, hell no. Hey, I don't want that mindset. A good looking sister, she can, what they say, recreational.
I'm joking.
Yeah. Recreational use, you know what I'm saying? But I don't even believe in that though, because I'm like I said, as far as my God, I really don't believe in just smashing and dashing. But if I did, if it wasn't for God, oh man, a whole lot of these women would just be that would be a playground slide. That's it.
Yes, without any hard work.
Yeah, let me just kind of say this. I know we're kind of varying a little bit because last week I showed a video, and I think it's pertinent. Again, you could it's on my channel. And it's a guy who wants to smash, and it's a woman who wants a relationship, and they're having this dialogue, right? They're talking to each other, and she's telling him, just like typical, if you want me, you got to commit a little bit. He says, well, I can't commit unless I taste the product, right? And they're going back and forth. Now, if they're acting, it's one of the better skits. You know what I'm saying? Because she's on her square, and he's on his square. And I'm saying, okay, that neither one of them are really wrong. But I tell men this, and this is when I found my wife. I said, if every woman looks like a piece of steak, you're not going to be able to see the ones that you might want to keep. Because all you're thinking about is smashing them. You're going to miss something, right? So, and one of the things that happened for me, and it just maybe happenstance, when I was looking for my wife, I was actually looking for a wife. I was in my 20s, around 25, 26. I was actually looking for a woman I could just hold hands with and not try to be a sneaky link with anybody else I was fooling around with. And I had stopped going out with random chicks just to get laid. And then maybe like 6 or 7 months in, you go a little crazy. The happenstance got me in front of my wife, my future wife. I didn't know it at the time. We started talking. And now when I backtrack in my mind from the first time I talked to her, I think I talked to her almost every day since that first time we met. We got engaged in 5 months. And we didn't really date. We just courted. Because I said, I don't need another girlfriend. I'm looking for this, looking for that. And she said, well, I am too. She was still living at home. And we got married like 9-10 months later. And so now that I'm in these YouTube spaces, I didn't think about it back then, but I'm thinking about it now. Is it part that my head was kind of clear from just smashing chicks? So I was able to recognize a woman that was worthy of keeping because my head was a little clear. If I had all kinds of women in my orbit that I was stroking, would I have been able to recognize her any differently? You know what I'm saying? That's just one of the things I'm thinking might help men who, especially men who can get a lot of women. How are you going to recognize the one that you want to keep, especially if you want to keep one, if you're smashing everything? Everybody looks like a big porterhouse and shit. So, how are you going to look at you? How do you find a different one?
Payne, funny you said that, actually.
Hey, personally, oh, my bad. Go ahead, dog. My bad. You saying something?
No, you're good. Because I know a bunch of my old dudes, like guys I know, going to high school. He was the most popular, got the most chicks and everything, and now he cannot even get one girl to go on a date with him because he's known as a player. He's known as a guy who you should just smash and move on. So the guys who had a long relationship, like myself, like, oh, he's actually serious what he wants, and he's not going to just smash and move on. So you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
No,
I hear.
I get what you're saying. I kind of get what both of y'all saying. I think when you really, I kind of see it a little bit opposite though. When you really do deal with a lot of women, like you're going to be able to decipher which ones are actually worth something beyond sex. Like you actually see who actually is kind. You know what I'm saying? You'll see who is actually selfless, who actually wants to, actually add to you, who really cares about, dealing with you. And I ain't talking about like the stuff people be saying on these, YouTube videos, because a lot of these dudes be faking. But I'm talking about like real life.
For you though, do you have to smash her first to get there?
Oh no, I don't think. See, as far as the one,
point.
like the video you said where he was like, "Oh, I want to smash," and she's like, "I don't want to do that." Yeah, like, hey, if a woman's gonna stand on the square of not being a hoe, then yeah, that's what's up. Let's continue to move forward. Let's see what's
I
up.
hear you. Okay, good.
Because
I'm with you now.
that's better. Like I kind of think it's silly when people be talking about, they talk about body count, but then they expect a woman to give it up on a first date and expect her body count to be low. A woman with no body count is not going to just drop the draws immediately. That don't make it's not logical at all. And it's like dudes talking about masculinity and manhood and logic. There is no logic in that. That is straight up emotional. You want to feel special. And then when you find out you ain't special, now you own YouTube videos crying. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
You got something, Trey?
I mean, he's speaking from his age group. He's that first generation. He was like 10 years old when they took over the neighborhood. So he's seen it firsthand. He lived it and he's seen it all around him in his community. There's millions of brothers and sisters right there in the same position. Now, this brother, from what I understand, he's been able to maintain some discipline. So that allows him to network and navigate a little different from guys who just dive right in. Once they able to start getting out there and getting into them cakes, and they eat a whole bunch of cake and just eat cake until they full of cake. But it's a small group of those guys, because don't we say it all the time? Over 60% of men are childless and single. So that 30% is out here swimming in every pool, cesspool, whatever pool, pond, they swimming in it. And the guys, I can understand, but I can understand a guy that can't move like that being a little jealous after 10 years, being in their 26, 28, 30, like, man, ain't nothing out here. But a lot of them don't even put I don't know. It's just a different time.
But let me ask you guys a question. The very first video with the sister who's rejoicing about the men who are alone in the nursing home. Is any part of what she's saying true? I don't know if you saw that, Rick. I mean, there's that first video is a lady coming on. She's a swirler because she had a little white baby with her. So, I think she's a swirler. She was rejoicing that she works at a nursing home. She was rejoicing that she sees a whole bunch of black men dying alone and nobody coming to see them. And she immediately said, well, these guys were bad guys, bad men, blah, blah, blah. She don't know none of their backstory. Because a lot of people could end up alone and you don't know what their true backstory is. They could be veterans and all that other kind of stuff. So, but the way men approach things these days in terms of smashing or maybe and running, having a whole bunch of fatherless kids out there, is anything, I mean, whether she should have said it or not, but is there any kind of way that, this is going to be a dumb question, does anybody deserve that kind of treatment when they're alone and old? That's essentially what she's saying.
For me, I mean, I guess I haven't seen the video. I was actually typing in the video just now. I was like, I'm about to take a peek at this. But just from what you give me, the information I gathered from jump, I hear like her celebrating that a bunch of men are dying alone. First of all, it's just a dig and a stab at men quoting Kevin Samuels because women are dying alone. First of all, that's what I definitely think it's coming from that space because again, it's actually worse. well, never mind. I ain't gonna get into all of that. All I'll say is women know it's a scary reality and they got to deal with it in a much bigger way. Second, I will say, not even knowing anything about it, you can make an assessment that them men probably did not set up their families well to actually look out for them, to understand the man is first. So he probably didn't set up a foundation of a strong family, and a strong family where you do got women that are supporting you 100%, where you are somebody that's, basically exuding love. You bringing love to everybody, and you're showing people that it's important to be selfless and caring for each other.
Right.
But if you just been smashing and dashing everybody, then guess what? You're gonna create a whole bunch of people. If you do make grandchildren and children, guess what? They all gonna be selfish too, because they're gonna be like, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Why not me too? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why do I need to worry about him? So
Right.
could there be truth to it for what you're saying? Again, I'm gonna watch the video because I do want to get context, but I definitely believe it could be. But I think it's just coming from
Not BM, CBN. Can you play that first video a little bit? If you're gonna hang out for a second, well, let's play the first video again.
Oh yeah, let's go. Yeah,
it's not that long. CBN, you back there?
I think he fell asleep.
No, he got it. Can you play that first video with the lady in the nursing home by Demi Denuit?
Remember, I'll bring it back up. I forgot. I'll bring it back up.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I told you he fell asleep.
Nah, he's cool, man.
He's a good guy. I'm just kidding. He's a great guy.
I know you do. Hey, what's going on, Red Planet? How you doing, man? He's in there in the chat. Well, anyway, but yeah, I think it's a good one because the sister that comes after her talks about reflecting on men who are alone in those nursing homes from a standpoint that, some of them are veterans. They could have been great guys, and how people discard men in general, no matter, whether they're young or not. Men get taken advantage of or not. And there's enough. Here we go, right here. This one. There we go.
The reason why I be telling y'all not to trip about these men and whatnot is because I work in the healthcare field. I've been in the healthcare field since I was 18 years old. They're dying alone. They're dying alone. The women that's in these places, their daughters are coming to see them every 2 weeks. I am the one who is right there when some of these men are taking their last breath. Nobody showed up for them. Not their kids, not their wives, not their grandkids. Nobody came for them because why? They were not good men while they were alive. They're gonna continue dying alone. That's why I tell y'all don't trip. I'm physically seeing it on a daily basis, watching them all go by themselves. That's why I don't be worried about these men talking, because baby, I watch y'all every day go by yourselves with nobody on y'all side.
I'm seeing these types of videos more and more on social media of women pretty much gloating about men dying alone in nursing homes. And then we see the comments. He got what he deserved. It's karma. This is what happens to bad men. Really? Because a man is alone in a nursing home? Here's the thing. I already could have assumed that this would be happening, but not for the reasons you think. A man's contributions are rarely, if ever, appreciated at any age. So what would lead one to believe that an old man wouldn't be tossed aside like a broken ATM? But he was worthwhile when he was in his prime, right? Breaking his back, working his fingers to the bone for his family, or serving his country. Because a lot of guys in nursing homes are veterans that have been cast aside. So now that they're old, they no longer serve any value to the women in their lives. You just throw them in a nursing home and don't come see them anymore. You know what? I'm not surprised, because this happens to men in their youth. But what I am surprised by are the predominantly women who come onto social media apps to basically gloat that men are dying alone, like it's some kind of gotcha moment. Many women don't care about males in their youth, middle age, in their old age. They barely treat young men right who are providing. What do you think is going to happen when he's old and can no longer provide for his family and can no longer provide to females? But I bet you if he was still raking in the dough, you might be going to see him, bringing him flowers, shaving his beard, getting his hair done. I don't see any compassion from anyone that's making these types of videos. And it's pretty much aligned with what we're already seeing out here on a regular basis. Males are so devalued in our modern world. And as the saying goes, only women, children, and pets are loved unconditionally.
Yeah, that's that. So that's that video.
Hey man, that lady's on point. Like straight up. Bro, I can't even begin to explain. First of all, I want to say that sister that was on there, and again, I love my people. I really do. I love my fellow Hebrews, but that hoe was disgusting. Like straight up. She need to be thrown in the damn trash. Like it. And it's sad because all it is her really just saying, when she said the first thing she said is don't trip. So that kind of confirmed my first suspicions that, oh, okay, she's responding to like the manosphere Kevin Samuels thing, like these women are dying alone, like men don't want them, they're not getting married. Because the thing is, and women in nursing homes still die sad because they still ain't got that. There was no man that really wanted them. They couldn't get the man they wanted, and the men they want see that they're nothing. They all been ran through. So like for her to come on and be like, don't trip, you're really saying don't change your behaviors. Keep being fucking dragons, keep being evil bitches and causing men problems. And like she said, once you grow to a man that you no longer looked at the same. And I can even say this in my own personal life. Once I was no longer a child, I even remember my grandmother and aunts seeing me differently. It was kind of like I was just another nigga, like straight up. And I hate to say it like that, but that's what it was. My bad. Let me not hold the mic. Y'all go ahead.
No, man. Go ahead. Hey, man. How you doing, Red Planet? What's going on, man? What you got on the topic, man?
Hey, what's up? Like, all right, just like with the video of the young lady in the braids, you know, that just spoke about, you know, she's happy about men are dying alone. It's like, you know, I think we as black folks, we treat each other so horribly, man. I don't know. I mean, the men, the women, the gender war, all of it. It's like we just at each other's throats all the time. We all the time trying to finesse each other, screw each other over. And it's just playing out in the dating world. It's playing out, you know, all over. It's unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? We should be at least some semblance of working together or trying to work together, or just try to, you know, it shouldn't be like, you know, gloating, you know, at another person's misfortune, and they're from the same group that you from. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. You know, it's just crazy to me.
No, I hear you. One of the things I try to tell people, and because I'm tired of the argument too, that sister who put that video out, the last one, she has a lot of good stuff on TikTok. I have a few of her stuff on my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports, because I have a series of videos called "Let the Women Tell It." You know, I just put one out tonight. You know, but so I like a lot of her stuff. But what I'm saying is, we didn't get here because we chose this. But I mean, it's clear that both black men and black women, and men and women relationships across America have gotten to this spot by design. I think it's a design. You know, it's just certain stimuli that came in. It's not just feminism. It's not just woke nature. It's not just all of this kind of stuff. It's all the stimuli. I think it's a lot of it. Some people say it's commercialization, that the people want people to be separate because we all pay separate taxes, buy separate houses, buy separate cars, you know, do all kinds of stuff to keep to put more money into the economy. And it sounds simple, but there could be some truth to that, because we all know that corporate influence on the both the Congress and the Senate is what runs the country. And I mean, up second to the damn military industrial complex. So you know, it sounds simple, but why do we hate each other? Because every species of mammal on the planet Earth knows how to get along with each other, except man. Even primates, they don't have you infight, right? You know, all the primates come. So we, you know, men and women are meant to get to be together, period. And these things that divide us are actually man-made, self-inflicted wounds. You know, and it can lead to people dying alone. And of course, dying alone in the sense of nobody caring for you, nobody checking for you, nobody doing that. And it's sad, even if it's a man or a woman, but the truth of the matter is, men, it'll be more prevalent because we don't have no safety net at all. When we're younger, middle age, whatever, we don't have a safety. The only net we have is the ones that we create while we're alive and able to do it. And we got to tell men, hey, listen, you have to be on your point because your role as a man is to produce, because that's what's expected of you. And you know what? To tell you the truth, a lot of men don't have any problem with that shit. You know, I mean, some of them get caught with the damn victimization kind of thing. But if you tell a rank and file man with any kind of opportunity that your role is to produce, I don't see a lot of men saying, no, I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of men who will say, you know, when we get married, we don't get married for happiness, right? We're gonna have a family. We're gonna take the shit to the mat, right? You find out, honey, I'm just thinking about how selfless men are. You know, in you know, the ones who are on their grind. I mean, we'll do anything for our families. You know, and I mean, I could go on and on and on. But
Payne,
I
I
mean,
also think I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think
go ahead.
also is how you were raised. If you're raised in a family like a man goes to work every day, takes care of his family, does whatever he needs to get done for his wife and kids, then yes, I understand that. But there are also men that out there says, listen, if she cannot provide a child, I'm out. And that's not right either, because that's not something might not be her fault. You know, it's a medical thing, obviously.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. How prevalent really is that? I don't know if that's, I mean, maybe in different cultures. So I don't even know how prevalent it is, because you want to find out. You'll probably find out before you marry or settle down with a woman whether she can have kids or not. The rest of it is happenstance,
I
right? So
mean,
I don't know how, but let me tell you, if you ain't able to provide as a man, the percentage of women that's going to bounce is pretty much higher than that.
I mean,
You know?
I want to throw in a little caveat. Matt, for one, I'll be honest, I don't think a woman should stay if a man's not going to provide, or at least try to work. You know
I
what I'm
agree
saying?
with that. I agree with that.
There's no point at all in being there. Like
I agree
that
with that.
yeah, like, but now if a woman can't provide a child, I wouldn't say necessarily gotta go, but I think a woman should be fine with that man being able to carry his seed on if she has to get another woman to carry his child. Like, I don't think a man should be like, all right, well, I guess no children for me, no legacy. Nah, he gets his legacy. So I
So
don't
let
believe
me
that either.
ask you. Let
Go
me
ahead.
ask you that on your point there, and every man could answer this. Let me answer that point. If a man that was with a woman and he was sincere about it and he actually brought it up to her, if you know, listen, can I do a surrogacy? I want to have a legacy. Can I do it? I think there'll be more women saying okay than not than people might. You know, I'm serious. Women are real accommodating to the men that they love if you're upfront with them. That's
How
why
many
I think I don't know. I wonder if that would be that hard to do.
Well, actually, I'm gonna let the other men go first before I say anything. Y'all go ahead.
Hey, anybody.
Me personally, if a woman could not provide me a child, see, I have mixed feelings behind that, because I was in a situation once before that the woman was able to have kids, but when we got together and later on when we decided to have kids, that's when she couldn't, because she had prior. So that's kind of hits a sour place for me, because it's like, is it a deal breaker? No. Is it something we should work out together? Yes, because there's also adoption is another option too. Or what is that they call? They take the sperm and put another woman. You don't fuck her. What's called
Surrogacy.
That's an option too. There are options on the table.
And that's what I'm talking about. That kind of option.
Yeah, that if she's willing to do something like that with me, like, yeah, oh cool. I'm willing to have that conversation at least. and figure
But
out if it works for us. I can't
anybody
say
else?
yes or no till we have that conversation. I think that's very fair.
Yeah, but the point is that you have that conversation.
Yes,
That's what
yes,
I'm saying.
yes.
So Trey, you got what you got?
I mean, all of these things that have been said are pretty good, but if you think about it, in our community, male and female, most of them are already sexed out by the time they turn 21. I've counseled young men who were addicted to porn at age 14, 15. I've
Yeah.
had students who a sixth grader had a 1-year-old child with another sixth grader. So in our community, children unfortunately see too much too soon. They can't read, but they know how to roll a blunt. They know how to get that sex in. Why? Mama, uncle, brother, cousin, they all exposing them to this garbage. Most
Black
fathers,
people.
most fathers won't expose it. If he's about his, if a father's a righteous brother about his business, he won't expose his children to that.
No,
He won't expose them to that. And this is prevalent because I don't know how, like the guy said, he's 40. A lot of guys who should be, well, I ain't say should. Nobody has to do anything. But your age of reasoning is between 38 and 40. By 40, everything you did in your 20s and 30s should be behind you. You should no longer be walking around without a belt, showing your cheeks, your dirty drawers. No way. You should have more than one pair of shoes besides N1s. You should be able to, at least on your birthday, a special day, put on some dress shoes, a collared shirt, a tie, a suit jacket, whatever. Put some jeans on and a jacket, whatever. You should not be hanging around with dudes 28, 29, turning up in the club on a Tuesday, Wednesday night. But unfortunately, there, and Miss Sugar Bum, I'm gonna call you out. She said there's no separation. And this is where, and I'm telling you, this is just a new phenomenon, man, in the last 35 years. This is just a new, it wasn't that. When I was a teenager, everybody stayed in their lane. I couldn't hang out with the 20-some-year-olds. The 20-some couldn't hang out with the 30-year-olds. Everybody pretty much stayed in their lane, and that's how you sharpened each other. So you could able to bounce ideas like, man, when I grow up, I want to do this. Man, when I grow up, wasn't nobody talking about being a basketball player, football player. Man, I want to be a fireman. Man, I want to be an astronaut. We was talking about real possible positions that you can get out here. Now, whether it worked out that way or not, no. But everybody strive to be independent and work. I didn't dress like you because that's what you did. I didn't do stuff just because that's what you did. But when I go back to my favorite generation, man, crack came in these communities. Feminism took the fathers out the home. Crack took the mothers out the home. Y'all saw y'all mothers and y'all aunties out there. Y'all cousins, y'all best friends, y'all uncles, y'all daddies was getting shot in the street. So y'all seen all that. So a lot of times, a lot of these people just grew up with that mindset, like it ain't gonna happen to me. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to survive out here. And this is where you are right now, and in the prime of that 30 to 40-year-old, they surviving, and they gonna get it in by any means necessary. They gonna disrespect you, your grandmama, they grandmama, they daddy, they granddaddy, and they don't even really know these people. They don't mess with the father's children side of the family. They don't mess with the mother's side of the family. Chaos. But nobody's holding their mamas accountable. Y'all saw y'all mamas out there. Y'all heard them headboards banging when you was on a school night. Y'all went to school stomach hungry. At least you can at least have a conversation and then let it go, because you're at the time in your life where you need to be blessed to have the best you need right now. You can't hold on to it. You can't go into your second half holding grudges from middle school and high school. Get the conversation out, whether they want to deal with it or not. Get it off your chest so you can be prepared for your husband, for your wife. Other than that, you will struggle and your children will struggle. If they say our wealth is going to be at zero at 2050, that's 20-some years. Think about it. If you 40, you will be 65, ready to retire, and your children ain't even going to pave the way. They ain't even going to work. And look, they ain't got to take care of you. But if they work today for the next 25, 30 years, they'll pay into your Social Security. Other than that, what do?
I know. All right. So Red Planet, you got what you got, bro? You got anything on that?
I mean, I agree with him, but I think a lot of, a lot of this, the baby momism and the single family homes, it creates poverty for a bunch of different reasons, unfortunately, and that's what we're seeing going on in the Black community a lot, unfortunately, um, the only thing I would say is we got to keep talking about these issues, keep getting the word out, and I mean, we can save who we can save.
I'm with you. And so the point really is that a lot of stuff that we're talking about now still can be extrapolated into how the future is going to be for a lot of us, you know, um, both men and women. I don't know. I mean, there's probably no one answer. And I think some people say, well, we got to wait for all the baby boomers to die, right? I mean, I've heard that before. Wait till all the baby boomers die. I said, well, the youngest baby boomers are 57 years old. That means they're going to be around for another 30 something years. Then they're the ones who are in charge of the country for the most part. All those guys in most of the people who lead the damn Senate, the Congress, the president, got that is he's from the silent generation. He's so old.
Man, that logic is stupid. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I'm just saying that logic is stupid. Wait for the baby boomers to die.
Yeah,
These young motherfuckers are more retarded than anything. Like, and I hate to use that, but they ain't got no damn sense. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm gonna finish.
No. Let me just finish. But you're absolutely right. But that's why I told him. That was my answer. I said, listen, think of what you're saying, right? And the other thing that's the real kicker. I said, well, who do you think is training the guys underneath them? I said, all the people who are coming up, the younger ones coming up, they're being trained by those same people you don't like. Right? You think AOC, when she becomes in charge of the Congress or something like that, that her liberal ass is going to give you something more than you have now? It'll be anything can go by the time she's in charge. They'll have dolphins getting married to people. So I'm shit, man. Are you kidding me? So I don't know. We need a sea change or something that says, okay, new dynamic, family. Okay, you're a woman who has a job. I'm a man who has a job. Guess what? That's not new. Don't let nobody tell you that women working is a new phenomenon. Women have always been working. And men have always, and maybe the man was the breadwinner, but they found a way to combine what they were doing to create a life for a family. Right? So that's not a new phenomenon now. If there's somebody try to paint the waters yellow by calling that 50-50, that's bullshit. It's not 50-50. Right? But the notion that a man should work his ass off, and if you're working, that your money is your money, and his money is the only money that should matter for keeping the house up, it's idiocy. It's idiosyncrasy. It's idiotic, right? Because I'll be goddamn that I'm gonna let you just chill out with your cash, and I pay all the bills, but you don't have no responsibility for the family moving forward, even if your money is just used for investments. And the little bit left over for you to keep yourself dolled up in the kind of way, fashion, because if you work, you deserve that, right? New dress, new this, nails, and all that other thing. Not this shit encrusted claws. When I say nails, I mean manicured.
Oh, no.
So, but it's that kind of shit. But your money, the bulk of it, even if it doesn't go for the bills, it's going to go for our future. If we're together, it's going to go for this investment, that investment, 401k plan, all that kind of real estate, whatever the hell it is. But you ain't gonna sit down on a goddamn couch and shit and drinking milk, yoo-hoos and shit while I'm working. No, So I mean, I just think that and the woman says, "Well, you gotta cook and clean." Well, you know what? Shit, I do cook. I mean, Thanksgiving, I'm gonna cook as much as my wife is on Thanksgiving. I'm gonna smoke a prime rib and a turkey. And I'm gonna cook I'm gonna have special homemade horseradish sauce and shit, and a vegetable medley that I'm gonna cook. I wash my own clothes. I don't need my wife to do that shit because I can't wait for her to do that. When I run out of drawers, I need to have my damn clothes washed.
And you know you
Right?
need
You
more
know,
than 5 pair of drawers.
that's right. Well, that's how I count. She counts differently. I count based on how many drawers I got left. I've been doing that since ever. When my kids got old enough to use the washing machine, they wash their own goddamn clothes too.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, so cleaning the house in my man cave, I clean that. My office, I clean that. I'm not asking my wife to come in there. You know, so this whole notion that, oh, she got to cook and clean, you know, we need to stop talking like that. We need to negotiate how we're going to live together.
I think it'd be a good idea. I think it was one show where they did the wife swap. I mean, I think if people are serious about getting together, I think it should be allowed
I
to have.
remember that actually. That was a pretty funny show.
I think it should be allowed to have an impromptu house visit because I've gone over women's houses who in the streets, you like, man, I know she got it together. And they claiming they got the bag. They claiming they got all this. They claiming they travel. You go to that house, come on, man. You got furniture on crates, mattresses on the floor. You got crumbs throughout the house, like somebody just threw popcorn everywhere. It's like dishes in the sink, dishes in the dishwasher. You like, then I'm old school. I'm a refrigerator checker. I'm going to your refrigerator. And if I see food in there that done dried up, ain't got no lid on nothing, look like it been in there, they let me know. I ain't touching you. I might shake your hand out the door, but I got something to do. I ain't laying up in there. I was always been big on smells. If I smell corn chips anywhere in that house and ain't no chips out there, I'm moving on. I'm moving on. And you know, and I'm like you because by a certain age, as a young boy, I wanted to be independent in the house of my parents. My parents used to check on me. Are you okay? Yeah. I needed everything I had. I started cutting hair, made my own little money, walking around, bread every day. I started saving from her. I've been blessed over the last 40 some years to be in a position where I don't have to do anything at all. Anything. Now you fast forward today, and this is where it comes to both sides. A lot of brothers are still living like kids, expecting somebody else to come in. The easiest way I used to get them panties on, when you come in, you smelling fragrances, maybe a little cologne, a candle, not an incense, a candle, all of that. I wasn't, you know, that's me. And even when I go to my friend's house, I'm like, man, clean this up. It smells like a pig pen. Clean your room, you know, and that's me. It's not for everybody. I don't expect everybody to do it. My sisters will tell y'all I used to iron my underwear when I was a kid, but I wasn't doing that. But I learned from my mother and my father. I learned from my mother on how to keep house. I didn't have to do anything but take out the trash and cut the grass. That was my chores. But I learned how to watch them and do things. So when I became independent out on my own, I wasn't expecting mom and daddy to do anything for me. Nothing. And it's reversed today because kids are like, oh, if I get in a little trouble, no. You should be able to manage your money. And as a man, you should be, especially at age 30, you should be managing your money a lot better. Because $50,000, let's go $55,000. You can live like a king in America if you manage your money. Stop trying to keep up with everybody else. Stop going out buying all this fake gear that everybody buys. It's all knockoff anyway. It's in America. It's knockoff. You didn't go to the country. It's all fake. I'm telling you, you got to understand how to do that because now, as you get older, you can't expect nobody to take care of you. And this is my last thing. Women, it's time to give up the uniform. Y'all been wearing the same uniform for the last 35 years. Give it up. Bounce came out, y'all ran with it. And it's crazy for y'all to go out and get a BBL, get your breasts done, get your whatever done, and you still smashing the same dudes who were smashing you with the flat butt. Give it up. It's time. It's time. It's time. Give it up.
Yeah, you know. But let me tell you, I know we're gonna wind down a little bit just to go, and we'll go through some final thoughts. But yeah, you're right on point there. it's funny that we're talking about this stuff, but you know, the way I see it is a lot of roads lead to the end, right? The way we live now is not really separate from the way we're going to end up. Matter of fact, it's directly, directly linked. And when you're younger, this is where you need to plan when when you have some youth left, some opportunities left to set yourself up and go down the right way. The problem we have in the Black community is that we stopped each one teaching one a long time ago in the bulk of our community. You know, I mean, every generation is supposed to be a little bit better and not a whole lot more bitter. And we got it backwards. We just do. And like I said, Rick, I'm just my first time seeing you. We had a panel up here talking about baby boomers, and we had a bunch of guys come in and talk about how much they hate baby boomers, right? And for all the bad that some baby boomers did, they didn't do what they did in a vacuum, you know. And I didn't. My only retort to those guys is, okay, you guys are alive right now. You guys are working, you're on YouTube, you're building YouTube channels. Okay, you might be bitter about the past, but what are you doing about the future? Never get an answer. They don't want to answer that question. All they want to do is have a whole bunch of baby boomers get on their knees and say, we're sorry. I said, what is that going to do for you?
That's the wrong mentality to have.
It's a bunch of dudes that don't really want to change anything. They don't want to really face the solutions they got to make. Like, and I got a roll, but I want to hop on to say, well, I was about to head out.
Go ahead. But final thoughts. We'll do final thoughts anyway. Go ahead.
But I don't want to let it go, because you had said like a lot of things. It was you or Trey, I can't remember who said it, but basically a lot of these things we're dealing with is something that's set up by design. You know what I'm saying? The powers that be. Right. It is definitely orchestrated. Everybody. So when me saying something orchestrated, what happens is, and here's the number one thing I think everybody's missing, especially the men. The men, they spend all the time talking about how jacked up these women are, which they are. And I'm talking about Black women. Like, everybody else's women don't act like ours. Like, just first put that out there.
It is unique.
Now, they haven't went through the trauma we went through, but everybody, you know what I'm saying, our women got the worst behavior, but our men have created that and actually continue to keep it going because they don't really want to face the real problem and accept the fact that there's a bigger agenda going on beyond us. And we have to realize that we have to work on being together, being more like a actual family. And we don't really look at each other like that. We look at each other as just like, oh, it's just some random people. And we don't try to work. We don't try to do anything for each other. Everybody's selfish. Everybody's about them. Even when you bring up the crack epidemic, that whole thing, if you think about it, that should never happen in a community of people that actually love each other. Community people love each other would never give somebody some poison just to make some money. You know what I'm saying? If you really just break it down to the just basic sense, it would never happen. But that happens when you got a people that have been brainwashed to look out for themselves, hate each other, and then not really understand there's a bigger picture beyond us. Most of us can't see beyond ourselves, or we can't see beyond our wife and kids. And that's with men like that don't even face the fact that there is a bigger problem and they have to admit it. You know what I'm saying? Acting like there's no such thing as oppression. When I hear Black men say that, all I hear is I'm soft. That's the only thing I hear. I'm soft and I'm scared to admit what really is going on because I don't want to face the truth. I want to stick my head in the sand like an ostrich. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So
Yes,
I ain't going to go into that.
But what you did was say, but the truth of the matter is, this is what gives rise to that first lady in that video. That's part of it, right? For her to be able to just freely have disdain for the men that she's supposed to take care of in that nursing home. That's the sad part. So let's keep going. The final thoughts about it. So you got anything else, Rick? Judah, you got a channel or something?
Yeah, but I'm working on. So I'm probably make a whole new one. I just been busy. I got a whole lot of stuff I'm working on right now. So
okay.
Yeah, but for sure, I'll definitely let you know. I'll be be back whenever I can get free. You know
I'll pop up here on BMUs. He's letting me use his platform. I have never gone live on my own video. I just started to. I'm retired, right? So I just flew around. And I used to write. And I said, well, just speaking into and making a video is a whole lot easier. I can get my thoughts out there and I'm having fun in these YouTube streets, and maybe I'll get serious and try to make a little bit of money out of this damn thing. Who
Oh
knows?
yeah, definitely,
You know,
definitely. And I'm definitely planning on getting into that. That's why, like, I was working on getting all my stuff, So I get my stuff in order. Oh, it's gonna be all these hours I'm working is taking me away from what I'm trying to do. I got a lot of projects, man. But yeah, for sure, they definitely be back.
All
And
right.
CBN, peace be with you, bro. He said you see me in a minute. Yeah, hopefully see me more often soon.
All right, man. Thanks for coming up, man. I appreciate it.
All right, peace.
All right, hey, listen, go ahead, Red Planet. What you got, man? We're gonna do some final thoughts. You got some final thoughts here, brother?
I mean, we gotta definitely keep having these discussions, putting the word out on these things. I feel like we just we need to work together a little more, as much as we can. It seems like, we have a little, not just gender war, but rivalry and competition thing going on. We need to just try to squash that, And
So I got a question
that's
for you
what
while
I'm
you're going. Do you have some old folks in your parents still alive? Any of that stuff?
Unfortunately, my parents have passed on, but I still got a few aunts and family members I still deal with.
Right. So we will make sure we can kind of at least just reach out to them every so often. I would imagine. That's
Oh,
one of my
definitely, always.
yeah, because I think that's one of the things I like to do is reach out to the old folks. And out of my grandmother and grandfather on my father's side, there's two daughters still alive. They're both in their 80s. And I make sure I call them up on the phone and we chit chat. Yeah, I just got to make sure I got the hours to do it because they don't let you hang up. They don't let you hang up.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta take care of your people, man. I'm not a selfish person in general, but I notice out here, to me, it's a lot of selfish people, man.
That's true.
What I dealt with when my mom was, in her situation before her passing, man, I was just exhausted by the time it was her time. And I see a lot of these people, man, they really don't care about their folks. They don't care about none of their people. I just don't get it, man. And maybe there's different stories. I'm thankful for what my parents did for me. So, but we just have to try to, just come together a little bit more, man. I don't know what that entails, but we got to figure something out.
Well, this what
And
these I think some of these panels are. That's what some of these panels for. I think every so often if we could provide nuggets for people to hang on to, we can't solve all the problems, but if we don't just talk about the problem and say, well, in this circumstance, maybe you could do this, maybe you could do that, maybe something will fit for you, and it might not be the answer, but it's better to have a few answers than than nothing at all. And just being cognizant of the issues or how we move forward, it will help people. Because like I say all the time, men and women are meant to be together, man. And the fact that we, as Black folks in America, can't seem to figure that shit out, that's the depression part. Because most of it is just a conversation and agreement. But anyway, okay, I think that you don't have to get down. I mean, let's go ahead, Grooming. You got something?
Yeah, you definitely have to take care of the elderly because they're the one who's teach everything. They're the one who teach you how to change a tire. They're the one who do a lot of things before us. Like, I don't agree on the statement that the boomers need to die. No, they need to live longer so they can teach us a thing or two. And because this society is going down shit still fast. I said it before. I say it again. I think you guys had it a little easier than we did without all this old internet shit, dating online, all this stuff. I think you guys had it straight up better than
Or
my
you mean
generation.
back cold approaching? We had it better by cold approaching, the chick?
I think it was better dating back then because you didn't have to worry about,
No, I agree with you, man. I'm
yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah. On a side note, I would like to invite you to my channel one of these days. I think Motivation Monday will be a great thing. I have you on my Motivation Monday day. I think you can.
So is it Grooming and Reviews? Is your channel?
Yep, Grooming Reviews 101. Check it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've been there, man. I'm not so sure. I think I've at least checked it out.
Yeah. Mondays I do motivation videos, and I like to have you do one video for the channel. I think people can learn something from you. I really do.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll check you out.
Definitely.
Yeah, bet.
All
Go
right.
ahead. Thanks a lot, man, for coming up. Go ahead, Trey. What's going on, Trey?
Yeah, just when the last guy, what was his? I think he left. The guy that left.
Yeah, Rick,
You know,
Rick Judah.
Unfortunately, we all are victims of the circumstances that have been placed in front of us living in America. I was barely out of high school when it was starting to change, and I'm just grateful that I had the people in my family. And I was already ready to move forward in my life to sort of dodge some of those things. So I took steps to sort of alleviate a lot of those obstacles just by staying in my particular neighborhood. And I saw as I moved around the country how it was damaging to a lot of people that stayed in those particular places wherever they lived at. I just think that we have to continue to have these conversations, like we say. We have to not be afraid to accept other points of views. And, as two younger guys, take these things as huddles. When you huddle up, you might get a play and at least try it out. Somebody may have something that's different that you try it out, see how those things work. And if not, you can always come back and ask questions so you can fill in those gaps, because it is a process. What's the use of us getting all this wealth at 21, 22, 23, and we're not prepared to make it last over the course of our lifetime and our future generations' lifetime? So I think it's important to continue to have these conversations. Only deal with truth and logic. Some things you're just going to have to go research yourself and continue to just, continue to build yourself. Nobody's coming to save us. So we all we got. So regardless of you 25 or 55, we in this together. Grooming and reviews, you'll be getting your paperwork to come on over to the brother side at some point. I think they're getting it in order now, make sure all the things are right. But and this is what's needed. I think YouTube is allowing guys who didn't have a voice to have a voice, but I also think that they should always use it. Have an open mind when they come to get the information, so they can apply it to make their lives better. So thank you, Payne, man. It's always cool, man. Ball head game rocks again.
I appreciate you coming up. Listen, so I appreciate you coming up. It's funny, when I was talking about my grandfathers on both my mother's and my father's side, I was happy to have a relationship with both of them. But my pops, he worked 16 hours a day. So when my mother passed away when I was 8, he had to, his sister took us in, right? My aunt took us in. But my father was high school educated. He played the numbers in New York. He lived in Harlem. And he just played the numbers. But his main job was the head dietitian in a New York hospital, right? And he got, with his high school, he went all the way up to the top. And he has 4 kids. I have 2 brothers and a sister. And we all cook. I don't know if that's hereditary, but we all cook like delicious meals and shit. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's in the blood. Like they say, guys that who are athletes get it from their parents. But my pops was a diet. He would cook the meals for the hospital, set the meal plans and all that. But it's funny how we all like to cook.
Payne, all due respect, I challenge you to cook off.
Maybe one of these days we'll have to do that. I mean, listen, tell you, man. And it's funny. I'm gonna tell a real quick story before we go. My wife bought me a smoker, right? This was like maybe around 5 or 6 years ago, right? Christmas, she bought a smoker. And I put it on Facebook. I said, me and my wife, we were getting ready to get a divorce until she got me this smoker. And I put a picture up there, and that smoker saved our marriage, And she just laughed. Everybody just laughed. That shit was funny because, of course, that's not true. But man, that I just started smoking all kinds of meats and stuff. Smoked some seafood in there, crab legs, just smoke. I said, man, so I smoke almost everything now. But of course, most men want to think themselves as grill masters in the summertime, right? The women, you can't touch the grill. Get out of here. you know. Most men are on the grill. So I cook a lot, man. So me and the wife, we cook. She's, of course, the main cook, but every so often when I throw down those Sunday meals, that's pretty much all me, man. Everybody would always come back and I have all this stuff. Anyway, so I like to do it. But back on point, I'm telling you, look for the elderly folks in your orbit. Don't be afraid to reach out and say hello. You might not solve all their problems, but it's not good for anybody to be alone like that, man. Just somebody reaching out, because just the mere fact that somebody calls somebody up tells them they feel immediately, I don't know how long it lasted, that somebody was thinking about me. Somebody was thinking about me enough to reach out and say whatever. They ain't going to solve my problems, but sometimes it's enough to know somebody actually has you on their mind. Right? Because it's always going to be our turn at some point. So it's going to be, so that's where it's all at. So I appreciate BMU for letting me up, CBN for taking care of everything, you gentlemen for being on the panel. And hey, listen, I'm having a blast. You know what? I'm having fun, so anyway. Hey, listen, good night, everybody. And let's do it again next Monday. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'll figure something out. Good night.
Peace, bro.
Yes. CBN, we on our way out.